This is well 396155 in Kanawha County. It's off Derrick's Creek Road. The well goes to Marcellus and 3 other shale formations that are producing. Behind the wellhead is the separator and a metering device, and then to the right of the wellhead is the condensate tank. It's a plastic tank. There are patches of black pit liner plastic lying on the ground. They're embedded in the soil. This is not the area where the pit was, but it appears that the pit material was spread in this area. There's very little vegetation. According to the surface owner, the site was reseeded in February with clover. The pit liner area has a fair number of deer tracks, very little vegetation. The clover didn't take. You can see signs of straw where they've attempted to revegetate this area. When I took a sample a short distance away from here, outside of the pit liner area, there was just below the surface, there was a grayish powder, which appears to be maybe pit waste. There are dead trees at the perimeter of the site, and at the end of the site, on the other side of where the pit was. We were told by the landowner that when the well was fractured, the flowback was allowed to go directly into the forest, and the trees immediately died. They lost the bark the same day. Other material from the pit was used for a dust suppression method on the road. They sprayed it. This is a bare spot where I took another soil sample. It's about where the pit was. The pit went from about this area to the edge there of the forest where the dead trees are. I took a sample for the water here. There are tadpoles in the water, but it does have chloride above background levels. I took samples along the ditch at the foot of the cut slope. The samples were 0 or trace chlorides on the other side of the well, and as the samples were taken approaching and alongside the former site of the pit, the chloride became elevated. The dead trees are a significant feature. There's no understory growth to speak of. This is the area where the fracture flowback was supposed to have been allowed to discharge directly onto the soil. The trees are either bare of bark, have bark coming off. The tree in front of me looks like it was a beech. And the Furno forest, where they had a land application problem, the beeches lost their bark within a short period of time after land application. The chloride in that case was between about 6 and 14,000 milligrams per liter. In this case, the flowback was probably much higher. This is the forest above the area where the flowback was allowed to discharge onto the surface, and you can see understory trees, smaller trees and saplings, whereas this area is bare. There is grass growing. Dead trees on down to the creek. The cut slope for this well has a number of seeps, and it's slipped several times and then been repaired by the operator, and it's slipping again. Again, all of the clover that we're seeing was planted in February. The condensate storage tank is sitting in a properly sized secondary containment dike. The problem is that the dike has a rainwater drain, but it doesn't look like it's ever been opened. The tank is actually floating in the water. There appears to be about a foot or less of freeboard. The fact that the water has been standing in this area for a long period of time is obvious because of the presence of cattails.
And you said that people have been having trouble with their health because of releases into the air. What's been going on with that?
Well, I was talking to you about this earlier. Would you pan back there and look how high these trees is behind us? This is going towards my house. These trees is about 80, maybe 100 feet at the most, higher than what this well is. And at my house, you could see a plume of vapor going anywhere from 50 to 100 feet over top of these trees, up to a year after this well was first drilled. And all the other wells that was drilled on this ridge done the same thing. Well, as soon as we would hear it blowing, and we could hear it before we could see it, depending on how the wind was blowing, we would get deathly sick. I mean, real bad, like food poisoning symptoms, puking, diarrhea. My mother would have vertigo, actually even bleeding in the stool. And I started having sores coming out on my back and side. You see, I'm a little heavy-set man. Never done drugs in my life, but that's the first thing people start saying. Look, you look like you've been doing meth. And I went and got at Jonathan Murphy's office in Taze Valley. Went and got a urine sample test to pull heavy metals out of my system in order to see if I had anything. Sure enough, did. I had high lethal amounts of vanadium, 0.44 in my urine. I had high levels of cobalt, strontium, mercury, high levels of nickel, high levels of chromium, hexavalent, and I've worked nowhere in the industry that has had those chemicals that I'm aware of. But I do know that they're in these fracking fluids. And a lot of my neighbors and relatives out the road, never been sick, good, healthy, and then all of a sudden started having asthma trouble, and still having asthma trouble, lung problems, COPD symptoms when they've been checked and x-rayed and ultrasound. A lot of tests running on them. Their lungs is clear, as far as like if you'd been a 12-year-old ain't smoked for 50 years, so why would a 12-year-old have COPD symptoms,
Yeah.
Okay. And even back to myself, partially disabled, if you don't care to look at my leg, partially disabled because these heavy metal because of my heavy metal poisoning, don't know which chemical it was, caused me to have a zinc deficiency. And that zinc deficiency caused valves to blow in my saphenous veins, and I had to have over 500 veins taken out of my leg. So it's no joke. These chemicals will harm you and kill you.